Shout out to our sponsors at IconBet. Open source, decentralized gaming, no deposits, play straight from your wallet. IconBet, made by the players, for the players. Eye on Icon is proudly supported by Icon Nation and the Icon community.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Eye on Icon, the episode where we go around our ecosystem and interview all our builders that do amazing things for Icon. And today I'm very excited because I have with us Galen, who is the CTO and co-founder of Mousebelt. And if you didn't know, you should know they do these amazing conferences where they have everyone across the crypto ecosystem come on. And let me shut up. Galen, how are you today?
Oh, great. Happy to be on the show. It'll be great to talk about what Mousebelt's doing, what we've been doing with Icon a little bit.
Yeah, look, it's been the fact that I haven't had y'all on yet is just a travesty, and I'm glad we're fixing that, and we're going to get down to business because you guys have been busy. You're involved in so many things. But first, Galen, let's set some context. I'm keen to hear a bit about you, your story, and I'm sure the community as well. How did you get involved in crypto, and then hopefully lead into how did Mousebelt come about?
So I'd say back in 2014, I've been living in this house with a bunch of tech kids in SF. You know, one of those standard like overcrowded hacker houses
Silicon
where,
Valley, like the
yeah,
show. I
yeah.
love it.
And Vitalik stayed there for a little bit and started telling everyone about Ethereum. One of the people there was like working at BitPay. Like there are a lot of like, people really early on. And I started learning about it kind of early. I didn't really get into working in it full time until 2017, where I'd started a engineering group with one of my co-founders, and we eventually went on with another person to found Mousebelt. So we had like Mousebelt's goal was really to build like real crypto businesses. It was a time when like everyone was just launching a token sale and not really a product, and we wanted to launch actual crypto businesses. So we'd help people build out their products. We would invest in people. We would promote like blockchain at universities to try and because there was such a paucity of blockchain developers that we wanted to really grow those numbers and get more people knowledgeable about it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's how it happened. And then how did you land on Icon? What's the story there?
Well, this was actually ICX Station. A lot of their doing. They were in San Francisco. I guess Scott was going to all these events. Adam was from our team was going to all these events, and Scott and Adam kept working together. We helped out with a few early Icon projects, and eventually we found ourselves running a PREP node and collaborating on some big Icon projects.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, do you want to share some of the big Icon projects you have collaborated on? Because I know y'all have done a ton of different things.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, we worked on, let's see, we worked on Balanced is probably the biggest thing that we've contributed to. So we put a lot of work into sort of mapping out how everything worked, like Balanced from the beginning. There was a lot of discussion in what would make a good crypto product like that, and there were many iterations. In the beginning, there was thought of like a order book style DEX because you get better prices, better execution for traders, but that's not what people in crypto want. So it had moved to like an AMM style DEX. There was just a lot of discussion and planning in the beginning that we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how balance could be effective, and we sort of advised on the architecture there. Then after that, we did some implementation work as well. So we've been contributing to the Balance project, most recently the trade router feature.
Yeah.
That was a contract that I actually wrote.
Okay. So, so with the balance side, so obviously there's quite a few teams working on different components. Have I got that right? How,
Mm-hmm.
how does that work? Like, is the flow, is there hurdles? I'm very interested in that, like, because I come from background in traditional software. Well, COBOL, don't laugh. I spent the last 4 years as a PM in COBOL insurance mainframe.
Oh,
But you know,
no, no problem. Goebel's any language that gets it done.
yeah, exactly. And but they have like rigorous structure around everything, and all the teams work. The idea when COVID hit and everyone had to go work from home, they're like, oh, but how will we be agile and get together? And this was a big thing. So for y'all, it's more like everyone's handling different components off the same protocol. How does that work? Does it have its challenges?
I think in the beginning, it was probably a little bit more challenging, and it took a little while for everyone to find their niche.
Hmm.
Um, I think in the beginning, just figuring out some roles weren't even filled, and people hadn't exactly figured out, here's what I'm the best at doing, here's what everyone else is the best at doing, and we eventually settled into that. And not too long after everyone settled into where they fit the best, the product got finished, got out there, and ended up doing pretty well. But I would say I've seen this occur a lot in decentralized teams where if you have sort of a flat org structure, it's always a little bit of a learning experience getting that going.
Hmm.
Uh, but once it's going, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Like it's worked pretty effectively.
Okay, cool. So, do you mind if I ask, how big is your team? How big is Mousebelt?
Um, oh man, Mousebelt. So Mousebelt's been growing pretty fast, especially on the media side.
Yeah.
So uh, I would have to ask one of them, but there's more people in Slack every day
Yeah.
I look. So
Well, actually, then maybe I'll frame this in a different way. So, obviously, then Mousebelt has expanding into media and a few. So, how many segments at the moment does Mousebelt capture? So, you're a dev team. What else do you do? Pardon me.
so yeah, we do development work. We have a university outreach team. So
Yeah.
we help schools start up blockchain clubs, and we help get them connected with all the other clubs, educational material, companies, just the industry as a whole. One thing that we had or have there is the Mousebelt or the Blockchain Education Alliance, where we have all the companies just in the greater industry who are interested in blockchain, and all the schools who are working on it at a student club level or a research level. Um, and we just get them all connected and see if we can get any cool things coming out of there. Um, Most recently, there have been a lot of schools in Thailand that Mousebell has been working with. So all the major Thai schools, we've been helping blockchain clubs get started up.
Cool. So, okay, then I want to spend some time talking about Icon 2.0, given we're here. I actually got a little bit of a hint that you're a great person to ask about this because you're very knowledgeable and you can break it down and simplify it. And if that's not the case, we blame Adam for that. But so uh, could you tell us like uh, the big differences? I'm keen to just get a very general overview of the big differences with Icon 2.0. What does it enable for our ecosystem?
So Icon 2.0, I mean, there's a bunch of changes that constitute Icon 2.0. Like there's switching from the old code base to one that's much more stable and much more actively developed. So they've switched to that Go loop code base, which
Hmm.
under the hood does a huge amount. That for the user, that doesn't do anything for the user,
Yeah.
but one of those things where you're working on maybe some old pile of COBOL. No, no events or any issue there, but sometimes it can't be as fast as if you've got a really clean, well thought through code base that's you just set up to be very maintainable, very workable to add new features and more complex things. So that's that. Of the 2.0 features, that's one of the biggest ones so far. So when they upgraded, the first thing switching to 2.0 was just make our code do the same thing it used to do, but with the new code base.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the biggest changes. Then the next changes that were added, there were new incentive mechanisms. There's or incentivization mechanisms like ISS 3.1. There's the bonding mechanism for P-reps. And just in this new code base, there's a lot of more features that now that it's stable are going to slowly get turned on. And this is the way that you always want to do an upgrade. Like for marketing, it's always great to say, here's the 2.0 release. We're going to turn it all on. Everything works. Let's go. That's a terrible way to launch a product from an engineering standpoint.
Yeah.
Most commonly, if you have a big change, first you get it to do what it used to do, and then you put everything behind feature flags, and you slowly flip flags. Now, you can't just flip a feature flag with a decentralized product because it's run on 22 people's computers who aren't yours. So you have to get them all to upgrade their nodes or vote in upgrades and stuff like that. I imagine it'll be a very slow going process to get all of that in place. But there's new things for the token economics and a lot of the building blocks of what will become BTP. So some of the things in this have APIs to connect to the BTP relay. And I don't want to speak for the BTP team, but I believe that the first two chains that they're connected or connecting to are Binance Smart Chain and Moonriver. And I think we should be seeing those pretty soon. At least there's no more blocker from what I can see on the Binance Smart Chain side. So, I mean, I will leave that up to the team that's working on it. I can't comment for exactly what they're doing or not, but I think it's pretty likely that it'll hit pretty soon.
Yeah, I think it's a really good call out how you said, because probably when I look at it, I always look at a community perspective, right? But people building, obviously, it's a different mindset and a different set of eyes. And it's interesting how you said about the flags, because it's so true. Like everyone thought, yes, Icon 2.0, and 2 weeks later, BTP, and we're going to have this entire connected network. But the practicality of it was the migration itself was such a huge challenge. And then post that, there was just so many things that needed to be done, or we may not have even known about it post-release and gone, oh, okay, now we need to patch all this, we need to fit this, and that's what's actually happening right now. So I get the community wants to know, and I'm glad you actually made some comments around BTP, but what you said is exactly true. They need to flick on, and that flick on's constantly happening. We've got the vote happening right now for the step and this and that. The foundation's been tweeting, so things are in progress, and we're very close to the launch of BTP. And the way it's going, from what you've said, is been good. The fact that it's actually going down this path has been the right way to do it.
Yeah, this is the correct. Well, I suppose you could say there's a correct marketing way to launch a product and a correct engineering way to launch a product. I think this is the safest way from a technical perspective to launch. But then when you have a launch party and then your product does the same thing it used to do, but with more bugs, people will say, hey, what's up with this?
Yeah, exactly. So Galen, is Mousebelt working on any BTP integrations at the moment?
We're not working on BTP right now.
Okay. From your, I mean, this is now me going off script. I warned you I would. So what's your thoughts around the BTP protocol itself, like the interoperable solution? Given you're in the space, you probably are aware of other solutions in the market. What's your honest take around it?
I mean, BTP is a very complex way to do what they want. I think it's quite cool. I think it's a really, really complicated product. So it's probably going to take most of Icon's focus going forward
Yeah,
on BTP. So you can compare BTP to other types of bridges. Like you could look at the other bridge on Icon, for example, the Orbit bridge.
yeah,
Um, that's like a centralized custodial bridge. I guess not. It's decentralized. You have what is it like 9 signatories on the bridge or
yeah,
something,
yeah.
and it's something I can't even remember what they need for the quorum. It's like 6 of 9. But basically, yeah, every transaction goes into some multi-sig wallet, and you have to have like 6 of 9 people sign off of it to release the asset onto the chain. Um, BTP is using a different system where it's you still have bridge operators, but anybody can be a bridge operator, and it just has to make sure the two networks are synchronized. So you still have a lot of the same constraints that fall upon the Orbit bridge. It's just a slightly more decentralized version and a much more complex version. Um, I think BTP could be a really cool product. Um, there's definitely potential to do, I think, some things pretty well that haven't been done on other bridges.
Yeah.
So I think I guess for the success of BTP, there are probably a few things that I would say. One is bridges generally have pretty bad tooling. It's hard to figure out how to use them, and they're kind of these opaque, mysterious things. This is not something BTP has yet, but it's something it could have. So you look at Orbit Bridge and you look at Icon, and you want to say, okay, I want to write a program that moves assets onto Icon and off Icon. Like the docs are like half missing. You can't figure out how to use that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a weird mystery, and you're going in your browser and you're trying to like reverse engineer the API from like what's sending up and the request it's giving you to sign. But if you figured out what it was wrong, you're going to burn a lot of money. That's not a good app. Like that's not something that's likely to be integrated into many apps. This is also a while back that I looked at it. It could have been different now. But many bridges are kind of opaque like this. So this is also right now BTP is fairly opaque, but I do know that Icon is putting a lot of effort into it. So hopefully it will be something that's very easy to use, understand, and integrate. I think that's one way that they can distinguish themselves. The second is probably many bridges right now are trying to just pull a bunch of assets onto the chain and like kickstart a DeFi ecosystem there. So you see, this is what Avalanche did. This is what a lot of chains do. Let's sync as many assets as we can onto this blockchain, so people will trade them, and this blockchain will become the best place to trade X, Y, and Z native asset. And eventually we'll get some apps popping up around this because there's so many of these assets here. People want to do something with them. So that strategy works, certainly. Like it's made Avalanche quite a bit of money. It's made other blockchains. It's like given them pretty big communities. But if you want BTP, it doesn't make your bridge the bridge that's used everywhere. It makes it the bridge that's used in your chain. So they're probably, I guess Icon would probably have to make a decision. Like, do we want to pull more assets on Icon and grow it, or do we want to promote BTP? What direction do we want to go? I don't know what direction they're going to go, actually, but I from what I've heard, it's going to be the second one.
Yeah, as in grow BTP. Yeah. Yeah, and it makes sense because I guess even a lot of the current bridges, because their goal is because they work on the same code base like Ethereum, they clone it, they build a private bridge, and this is the difference, they usually are a private bridge between their chains, and they can move assets from Ethereum onto their chain, and then copy and paste essentially the dApps and create their ecosystem. We don't have that luxury, but BTP will enable the more connections we get, hopefully, then it starts to become valuable for someone to go, well, we have our own solution, but if we connect here, we get connected to 15 chains rather than just the 2 chains. So let's hope that's what transpires. But it's good to get your insights, and particularly around the docs, because I know that was a big focus. Every time anyone I speak to, part of Icon 2.0 and moving forward is, yes, we need to get the dev section, we need to get the docs up to date, we need to make sure this is built out thoroughly, so that we can retain our devs and keep our ecosystem thriving. Sorry, you're going to say?
Oh yeah, that was, so this is another big challenge that I think Icon faced. So EVM, the EVM is basically the virtual machine everyone uses on blockchain, and Solidity is basically the language that people use to write code. Like, there are a few other ones. Icon had an alternative smart contract platform without any of the standards, without things that people were comfortable with, and they didn't really have very good docs in the beginning. The community actually kind of worked to make a lot more of the documentation in Icon 1.0. Resetting to 2.0, and after it sort of took, over a year to build it up to where like there are developers launching products, to just kind of reset that would be pretty painful unless there's a good focus on getting those docs back up to date. So I think that's definitely reassuring to hear.
Yeah, agree. Okay, so can we talk about? I'm keen to hear about Reimagined. Like, so, and you touched on this Mousebelt. So you have a dev, you're doing quite a lot, but obviously you're building out a media section of your company. Um, could you tell us how that came to be? And I can see the conferences. I know they're sponsored by Icon, but particularly I see every time you have all the big heavyweights in the crypto industry line up and you get interviews done. So could you talk to us a little more around that? I'm very keen to know the story around it, how it came about, and how it established itself.
So Mousebelt, it was actually right around the start of the pandemic. There were a lot of student conferences planned. Every school was planning to do like a big blockchain event. And when the lockdown happened, like all those events were canceled at once, and the students didn't, like, they were all planning on all these things. They're getting companies there, schools there, everything was going to happen. It all just canceled at once. So Mousebelt decided to throw a virtual conference, and they wanted to, instead of all of these physical events, they wanted to reimagine them as this like one virtual event that students and everyone could attend all over the place. And that event went actually really, really well. Mousebelt ended up trying to throw more of like an event every month to get like a virtual conference going all through the pandemic. And we did it all the content is streamed live over 3 days. So it feels like a real conference where there are talks and things you can attend, and like every single iteration of Reimagine. There's a lot of work spent on, figuring out what worked, what didn't work last time, improving on it, and trying to give like a better live event experience. So those have really been coming along. The more recent ones, after Mousebelt launched a podcast called Coins.
Yes.
So through meeting all these guests, we realized like no one had really told their story in a really well produced, Hollywood manner, where we could bring like real like camera crews, production quality, like just everything to telling the story of crypto. So this was actually run heavily by Patrick, one of our team members, and some of his friends in the industry, who created just a Hollywood crypto experience where we told the story over I think around 10 episodes, and we just told the story of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. We went to the Mint building in San Francisco and talked about Bitcoin and a currency mint because it seemed like the most fun place to do it.
Cool. Okay. So I'll come back to Mousebelt now as a P rep. So um, there's been a lot of blog posts and things you'll have done for as a P rep. Do you want to talk a little bit about? I feel, when I hear Mousebelt, I know, and I'm going to come to this. I hear ice. And I wanted to touch it. Hopefully, we can talk a little bit about it. But before we go there, um, what are some of the things you'll have been doing as a P rep for the Icon ecosystem, which we've touched on? I know you're dev, balance, things like that. You've got the media sector, and you bring a lot of awareness to Icon through these professionally made, conferences and the podcast that you just explained. Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you feel deserves some
So
light?
I guess through the student events, like we've organized the occasional student event as well, where we get students together to talk to Icon community members, get panels together at student events. So we've done some of those in the past. We've done giveaways of ICX and Balen for people who attend the conference, try and promote Icon a little bit that way. So we've really tried to grow the developer ecosystem and raise awareness around the chain there. So we really tried to at events like Reimagine, we've done we've given Balance many sponsor slots. We've showed Icon there. We kind of wanted to promote awareness around the blockchain.
Yeah, no, I've actually seen, most of them that have come, I've scheduled, and I've been watching everyone as much as I can sneak in during my day job. So they've been fantastic. Okay, so can we talk a little bit about ICE, Galen? I'm keen to.
Sure.
Yeah, especially I'm intrigued. You said the Vitalik in the early days. So I believe Mousebelt is one of the teams helping build the chain.
So Mousebelt is working on aspects. The actual development of the chain is mostly done by Web3 Labs. Okay. Mousebelt is helping around sort of the ecosystem around that. So that's sort of where that fits around or fits between there.
Okay, so and this is one of the first time things Mousebelt has done, where it's I guess what I'm trying to ask is, by helping kick off a new chain. It's with Icon, for example, it was built. It's Icon Loop technology. They build it, and then it's being utilized. In this case, you are working with Web3 Labs on certain components, but it's the first endeavor to kickstart a brand new blockchain.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, how are you finding that process?
This is it's quite interesting. There's a lot of thought that goes into this stuff. Every single decision has been really, really carefully analyzed, and the team's really kicked off on this project in mid-October, when everything really got going in full force. And there was a lot of research figuring out how ICE could be an effective product, what it could do, what would make people want to use it, what the economics of ICE would be, and all of this. And there's been like very, very heavy amounts of discussion, all these topics, ideas sort of bouncing back and forth. The teams really want ICE not to just end up as just some other token and product that appears quickly, but actually something that is valuable in the ecosystem for time to come.
Okay, cool. And I guess how I'm keen to know, what are your thoughts on, because ICE is being pitched as the application center, right? Like the goal is that can build. Uh, Now, this is not trying to get any inside scoops or team discussion. I'm keen to know your views, especially when we discuss Avalanche and stuff like that. We've seen other chains that basically can mimic, and they've basically sucked in Ethereum's congestion. People have gone, this is too expensive. I can use something similar on this chain. Why not? It's free. I know we don't want to kind of fall into that tale, that story. What is your idea? What do you feel will make ICE successful? How will we capture people to build and make sure they stay?
So I think one interesting thing about ICE is very closely tied to Icon, where there is BTP. If ICE is one of the best places to use BTP through a combination of tooling, documentation, incentives, just everything around it, I think if you have a very good bridge and a good chain to land it on, where you can trade many assets, it becomes a very valuable chain.
Yeah.
Now, this is something that ICE is still being very actively discussed by all of the team members, and there are actually a few announcements planned to go out very soon about this. So
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
seen them flying around in all the discussion groups where there's going to be a set of blog posts that really explain the direction of ICE. I don't know if I want to speak about it informally in advance and say
No.
something that's incorrect. So I'll leave it to the announcement, I
Yeah.
think.
No, appreciate it. I know I'm being a bit cheeky. I was just keen to get your insights on that, because that's my thought process, and it makes sense what you're saying, because we can basically optimize ICE eh, to use BTP in the best way in terms of. I've heard Scott say things like, that transaction timing in the background that happens between. I guess the relays to Icon to receive the message and things like that can be optimized so that um, finality can be achieved far quicker than, I guess, other chains that have just implemented the solution. I could be speaking a little bit off script here, but that's the way I've understood it personally, from what you've said as well. So, okay, I think that's good. I've gotten all the main topics out of you. I was very keen to make sure I leave ICE to the end. Um, Galen, is there anything today, as we've been talking, because we've talked about a wealth of things, which is it's great to see how involved Mousebelt is in the Icon ecosystem and just in the broader crypto space. Is there anything we haven't captured today that you feel you want to talk about?
Let's see. I guess no. I think that covers it pretty well. I'm sure Mousebelt will continue to work on some stuff in the Icon ecosystem, and yeah, eventually, if we do something cool, maybe I'll pop by again sometime to talk about it.
Well, definitely. Actually, now that you've said that, I wanted to ask, what other ecosystems does Mousebelt dabble in, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh, so Mousebelt has worked with a bunch of different blockchains.
Yeah.
We really prided ourselves on not being tied to a specific chain. We'll use whatever tool is good for the job.
Yeah.
So we worked in terms of forming the university alliances and collaborations. Like on the media side, it's been anybody who we think is doing something interesting and has a cool story to tell. In terms of development, we've worked across on Ethereum, many EVM-like chains. We've worked on Icon. We've worked on graphene-style chains. We've worked on really just a bunch of different, bunch of different products, whatever works for the job.
Yeah, okay, so you're spread out. You're not one ecosystem focused, which is good because that's BTP's goal, right? Cool. Look, Galen, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I know the community will really appreciate it, given Mousebelt, again, is always across different parts of the Icon ecosystem constantly. So if they didn't know, hopefully this has helped give a bit more context on how broad your reach is as a P-rep and as a team. And I've learned a ton as well today. So really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to be on. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Until next time. As always, everyone, like, share, subscribe, do the needful. Let's get more people listening to podcasts like these so that they know all the great work the different teams are doing across our ecosystem. Thanks, everyone. Take care, Galen.